Women's Sports Mix.
Cambridge Radio.
Hello, I'm Alex Elbro.
I'm Amy Gray.
What are we?
I don't know, Alex. What are
we? The 18. Look, we had a run on that. That was going well. Never mind.
Oh, I was trying to do a thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, we'll make that a new thing now. Welcome to the Women's Sports Mix Show, the fortnightly programme looking at local women's sports and promoting grassroots and sporting opportunities for women and girls in the area. And today we're going to be talking about padel. And it's not the thing that you use in a canoe. It's the fastest growing racket sport in the UK and maybe Europe, maybe the world.
It's very popular. And in football, the final of the County Cup has been decided. It's the U's Cambridge United women will take on Histon ladies. We'll have the latest from Liz Pamplin, including reaction to their 4-2 loss against Sudbury in the league. It was another win for Cambridge City, which is good news for them, although they remain in relegation as things stand. More of the season to go. More on our football team later. You can contact the show wsm@cambridge.radio if you would like to talk to us about your sport, your team or your activity. And tonight we're also talking about the boat race, Alex.
Yes, if anyone didn't know, there's a Cambridge versus boat race versus the other side, Oxford boat race, taking place on Sunday the 13th of April, and we've been looking at some of the news, including some of the controversy. So, padel. We are going to talk about that first. I'm going to call you Ellie then. So, Ellie Coleman is a tennis and padel coach at David Lloyd in Cambridge. She's played tennis all her life and she's been coaching a women's performance class in tennis at Hills Road Sixth Form College. Recently, Ellie started coaching padel and we wanted to hear more about the racket sport that's sweeping the nation.
So I've always been really sporty. I started playing tennis from the age of 4 years old, and then I competed at a high level throughout my whole childhood, alongside netball. I completely gave it up when I was about 17, 18, just did not touch a racket for about 3 years. And then when I finished university, I got back into tennis and thought, I'll do some coaching. And since then, I've just been doing coaching for 2 years. And recently, all of the tennis coaches where I'm working have gone into padel coaching as well.
And is that because padel is such a fast growing sport and so accessible?
Yeah, so it is the fastest growing sport in Europe. And it's almost like a mixture between tennis and squash. So I would probably say it's a little bit easier than tennis. And so it's more accessible for older people, or if you're first getting into racket sports, it's probably a little bit easier. A lot of tennis players are sort of going into the padel world now, especially as it's growing.
Yeah, I was reading about it. It said it first started because a Mexican guy was kind of bored of playing on a court, so he just sort of redid his squash court to make it sort of more like a tennis court or something. And then now it really took off in Spain, because I think padel is actually a Spanish word.
It's very, very popular in Spanish countries and Portuguese countries. And I think the UK are getting onto it, and it's now really, really growing. Because last year, if you wanted to play padel, I remember I would have to travel up to Chigwell, David Lloyd, or we'd go to Bury St Edmunds outside. Whereas now it's there's courts at David Lloyd, and then also Cambridge University have just got some courts as well. And I honestly think it will become a massive thing. I think there'll be a lot of people investing in courts because it is just going to be really profitable, I reckon.
Yeah.
Ellie, what is it about padel in particular that makes it easier to pick up and more accessible for people?
Well, I think first of all it's a smaller court, and it's usually played in a doubles format, whereas tennis is a very big court. You have to be very hand-eye coordinated to play it as well. The balls are a little bit of a less pressure, so it makes it easier to hit it, and the bats are a little bit heavier. So I think, for example, an intermediate player, when I coach them at tennis, it's more hit, 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 stop, hit, 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 stop. Whereas, when they're playing padel, it's very, long rallies. The points are really long, so it's a lot more fun, if that makes sense. The same for like beginner tennis players. Actually, beginner paddle players are actually quite good. So it's just, I think it's a lot easier to pick up. And obviously, because it's a smaller court, it's not so much less running, but
less, less picking up the ball in between, I think, is because that's if anything that got me down with tennis is, especially as, like you say, a beginner, and when I was learning at school, is that, you know, as soon as you hit it, if you either hit it into the net or you hit it into out into the field somewhere, you then spend all the rest of the time running after it. And especially if you're playing with someone that's super competitive, like you, Amy, that people play to hit it across somewhere, and then you're like, right, now I just go walk for 10 minutes to find the ball. Whereas because it's played in, like, it's an enclosed court, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's an enclosed area.
So, and it's smaller, you know, I'm guessing you haven't got that far to go to pick up the ball even, and you're playing in doubles.
And there's just, in terms of, like, I suppose the amount of strength you need behind a serve and things, it doesn't have to go as far. Like, for me, a tennis court's massive. If I'm playing just, you know, now and again, it feels like quite a lot of work.
It's underarm serves, isn't it?
I was just about to say that, the serve for tennis is like overarm. Like, serve, when you're coaching tennis, for me, it's like a really tricky shot to teach.
Yeah.
Whereas a serve in paddle is literally bounce, hit the ball in the service box, which is so much easier. Like, you could go and do one session and be able to serve consistently. Whereas in tennis, it would take you multiple hours to be actually able to even get the action.
Yeah, I mean, you see that even with the sort of top tennis players, don't you? You know, they're serving and then they're hitting, some of them, you know, whatever percentage are hitting into the net or going out. You know, it's a real skill if you can get it into that box. It's quite nice for the other player if it's a bit fairer. Not in competition, of course.
It is so much easier for the serve as well. So I think it's just so much, like, more interesting if you first start playing paddle in comparison to tennis. Like, I absolutely love tennis and I never want to floor it as a sport. But if I was to pick it as a beginner, I'd probably go for paddle, because you're getting those rallies and you're making those interesting points. And obviously you can play doubles in tennis, but generally in paddle it is played, because if you want to play singles, you have to play on a different court. It's a much smaller court.
Oh, really? Even smaller than the paddle one?
Yeah, so I went to Dubai like last year, and like we played singles for the first time with my partner, and that was on a singles court, and it is a little bit different compared to doubles, because obviously the court's bigger.
Yeah, it must be also that you're getting the rewards as a beginner. You're getting the you're getting the reward of actually being able to hit the ball back, and it's a more fast moving game in that sense. I imagine, because like you said, beginners tennis, it must be quite hard to keep motivated.
Yeah, I mean, I coach really nice people. They all are like, oh, you must have so much patience with me. It's like, this is what I do all day, don't worry.
On that, I wanted to pick up on what you were saying about how you stopped playing any sports, or maybe only racket sports. Did you play any other sports at uni, or you just didn't?
Yes, I played a lot of netball. So I played tennis and netball from a junior. Played at a high level of tennis, and then I just liked the team aspect. I mean, as well, like, as a girl, a lot of my friends were just like going out. Not many girls played sports, so I think I just liked the whole netball like team aspect of like loads of girls. And then when I came back from uni, that's when I picked tennis up again.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a common thread. If you're going to uni and you're in with a lot of other people, you want something sociable, don't you? Because you don't really know very many people. So
well, at David Lloyd, where I coach, there's 12 male tennis coaches, and then there's myself, and then my coach when I was a junior, who's a female, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite interesting. Like, it's so male dominated at the moment, which is hopefully going to become more female dominated, but it is more males at the moment, especially in the coaching world.
Yeah, is that the coaching aspect of it? Because I'm guessing, you know, loads of women and girls love playing tennis, but yet then when you get to coaching, suddenly there's this, there's one of you. Do you have any thoughts about why that might be? Is it that girls, or sort of as they get into teens and then young women, are they not being encouraged to follow that route?
I think when you're a teen, I think that's when like the dropout rate for females is quite high anyway in any sport. And I think for a sport like tennis, where it is more male dominated, like especially when I was growing up, it is just more common, so people just drop out. I also am a firm believer that it is harder for females, like on the body, like physically, especially with males. They're just constantly producing that testosterone all the time, whereas women, we go through a whole cycle. You know, you do have weeks where you feel absolutely rubbish, but you just have to physically get on with it, and it's a physically demanding job. So I reckon that is to do with a lot of it. Also, when you're a tennis coach, a lot of the time you are self-employed. So I think maybe like if you're looking at having children, that's like maybe another reason. I don't know, that's definitely come into my mind, like if I ever had children, like, and I'm self-employed and I'm having to take all that time off, and like you obviously can't be coaching tennis when you're heavily pregnant, so it's something maybe to do with that. I'm not 100% sure, but
I mean, they all sound like things
really
that
valid, don't they?
all valid, all things that I think women immediately understand. And yet then we think, well, why, if we all understand that, why is there not, why is that still a problem? And there's not the support in place to make sure that people who want to be tennis coaches and are good at it would have, that could be facilitated to do that, while also doing the things that come with being a woman, but, things that some of them affect all of us, some of us.
I think that's and also I your point about tennis coaches, because of course in my head I always think of tennis as being outside, but of course David Lloyd has all the indoor coaching, and that's kind of one of their things for all their places all around the country, isn't it? People will join for, because it must be again a bit annoying if you're a tennis player, or now a paddle, because you can play paddle indoors as well, can't you?
Paddle's indoors at some David Lloyd's. Our Cambridge one is outdoors. They've got 3 courts, and like they are really nice, to be fair. So I think in summer
they're going to be
it
really
will attract
busy.
like a lot of people.
And would you say that now that paddle is becoming more popular, you can have 3 paddle courts over one tennis court? I imagine community recs and things that have tennis courts that aren't really well looked after, whatever, they might think, well, let's convert those to 3 paddle and get people doing that, because it's going to be easier to pick up and everything. Do you think it would be easier to coach paddle if you were pregnant? Would that be better opportunities as well for women potentially?
100%. Like for me personally, when I'm coaching tennis, it's like really, really physical. When you're coaching paddle, I do find it physically a lot easier, if that makes sense. Probably because the court's a lot smaller, and also like you've got 4 people on the court all the time. Even when you're coaching, there's 4 people, rather than like when you're coaching tennis at the moment, there's only individuals. So I don't actually coach any individuals in paddle at this point in time. We need to do like another qualification for that, if that makes sense.
And as you were saying, it's a different court and different rules anyway. It seems like more people are, especially on a social level, say, rather than competitive, are going to be doing doubles, which is quite nice.
100%. 100%. I definitely think as well, like the growth of paddle is going to be crazy in the UK. I know that when we went to Dubai, there was just courts everywhere. Like if you wanted to go and play paddle, you could get a court within like a really small radius, whereas here at the moment there are a few courts, but I think it will definitely increase in demand.
It's like catching up, isn't it?
It's definitely catching up.
It got very popular after COVID.
Yes, exactly.
But then I wonder why that racket sport, I guess because it can be outside, people find it a bit easier to pick up than tennis, I guess.
I also think it's just more like known about. Like honestly, if you said to me about paddle like 10 years ago, I'd know about it, but not really. Whereas now everyone knows about paddle.
I wouldn't have heard of it at all a few years back.
Oh really?
I think the same. It's it's one of those things, isn't it? Once you start hearing it, you feel like everybody's talking about it.
I remember playing it like when we were on holiday like 5 years ago.
Right,
And it was like, we loved it. We were like, oh, we want paddle more. Like,
and you come home and there's nothing there, is there?
And I remember like travelling up all the way to like Bury St Edmunds to get like the outdoor paddle courts, whereas now it's so like on my doorstep, which is so much fun for me.
And it's very big in the US, and they had pickleball was popular there, which I believe this is slightly similar to, but even though they're similar, paddle is still really picking up in the US. I was going to ask you,
because I know you do pickleball for certain groups at David Lloyd.
We do a lot of pickleball.
What's the kind of difference between them?
So pickleball is played on like a mini red tennis court, like a badminton court. It's played with like a plastic ball, and then like the bats are almost like enlarged tennis bats. That's plastic. That's the best way to sort of describe it. A bit like a swing ball. And they have a complete like different scoring system, whereas paddle and tennis are the same. I think the pickleball, it's the same sort of format as badminton. So like you only win a point when you're serving. And it's normally at from my experience, it's normally played in like elder people. Like my mum absolutely loves pickleball. It's more like an older generation because again, it's much slower than like tennis. It's played on a smaller court, and you can get like longer rallies, if that makes sense. That's basically the down low on it. The US are loving it. Like it's wiping out tennis in the US. Like, I can't see the hype about it personally.
This is pickleball rather than paddle.
Yeah. No, this is pickleball. Paddle, I really understand the hype.
Yeah.
Pickleball, I personally don't.
Maybe it's
wouldn't say I love it.
The ageing population of the US is something to do with that. But I think it's true that UK are trying to catch up now. And I know my own son, who's not, I wouldn't say particularly sporty in a traditional sporty sense, they played, him and his partner played on a holiday, and they were, like you, absolutely loving it, came back, and now they play it twice a week. And he was saying, like in Bristol, you can go to courts all over the place. They're already there. I feel like they're a bit ahead of Cambridge, but...
it's like London. Like, we went down in London like in August, and I think we paid like £120 for a paddle court for like 90 minutes. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Like, whereas like obviously now they're in David Lloyd's, it's like not a big deal, but it's because it's such like a sociable event. People are like, they have like this place where you like drink and you play paddle, and it's a really cool idea, to be fair, because you can mix the whole social side with the whole racket sport. But like my friends who have like never picked up rackets are like all becoming obsessed with it. They're like joined paddle communities, and they're all doing like paddle training, and I'm like, oh my God, I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah,
like,
isn't this good though, to get people active, that wouldn't traditionally be thinking about it? And the social side, again, as we said even before, when you're saying about going to uni, if it's generally going to be 4 people, even to just play the game, that's already like a little group, isn't it? And if you've got two courts or whatever, that's it. You've got a party going, haven't you?
I think at David Lloyd as well, they have like a really good system where they have this QR code, and you just scan it, and you just put in it like, oh hi, I'm this level, anyone want to play? And I know that loads of people have just like met people through that.
Oh, how handy.
That
sounds good.
That is really good.
It's a really good idea, actually. I guess they have it for the pickleball as well, and the tennis. It's just like a really great idea where you just find people, because it's really hard as well. Like I said, like whenever I coach it, I put your age as well, because then you can meet people like of your age. So then it's not like you're playing like a 60-year-old against like a 21-year-old.
Yeah, that would be.
It's more like, which is nothing wrong with that anyway, but as in it's just better for like a female to go and find like a female of their age or whatever they want to do. It's just like really fun.
The downside is if you do play it generally in pairs and you want to go on your own, you're like, well, hang on, none of my friends are available. How do I do it? So that's a really good system. So if people are more interested in coming and seeing paddle, I mean, I guess you have to be a member at David Lloyd, but where else can they find courts or have a go? Is there any taster things or anything like that around?
So they do, like, obviously at David Lloyd you have to be a member, but if like someone is a member, you can bring someone in as a guest, so that's always an option if you know someone. And then I know Cambridge University have opened up some paddle courts. I'm not sure how many are there, but I'm pretty sure they're quite reasonably priced. And then Bury St Edmunds as well do some paddle courts there, but I think a lot are being built, actually. Like, I remember driving past, this is going to be so unhelpful information, but driving past in Cambridge, and they were like, oh yeah, they're building paddle courts there, but I can't even remember where it was. Sorry about that.
No, I was to say that means that if you're interested in it, it's a Spanish way of spelling it, so it's PADEL. If you Googled that in Cambridge, I bet you now you'd be getting things that are coming up.
Yeah,
because also,
100%.
I think because they're smaller, I'm guessing they're quicker to build as well. And
and also they, as you say, like 3 paddle courts can be fit on 1 tennis court. They got rid of our court at David Lloyd, an outdoor court, to build the paddle courts.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense, to be fair. But as Djokovic said, paddle is taking over the tennis, unfortunately for us. But
well, unfortunately, but you'll be able to coach that as well. So
100%.
I guess
And it's quite it's actually really nice to be able to do both. Like sometimes, like it's quite nice. Like on a Saturday morning, for example, I coach paddle, and it's nice because I finish the tennis on a Friday, and then like it's like paddle, here we go, and it's a nice like break, if that makes sense, from the tennis.
Yeah. And it might
it's outside,
and it might encourage more children and young people to take it up, and then maybe move into tennis if they're very good at paddle. But if not, they stay with the kind of more social kind of sport, but keeping people active. I feel that's like the real bonus.
Yeah, they've just introduced like a family paddle session that I run on a Saturday, so it's like you bring like your kid and like a parent, and it's like really fun because you get like the children with their parents, and the parents are so competitive.
Maybe they can be a future paddle Olympian. Maybe eventually it will be there.
It's not in the Olympics yet. I think it needs to be.
I think that they're segueing through squash, and then maybe paddle might sneak in behind that.
Well, thanks very much for that, Ellie. It's really interesting to see how it is and how you came to it as well. And we look forward to hearing more about paddle and all the competitions that are going to be coming on in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be loads of competition, so better start now. the best thing, start now.
Cambridge Radio Women's Sports Mix.
You're listening to the Women's Sports Mix with Alex Elbro and Amy Gray.
Hello.
Now, thank you very much to Ellie Coleman for talking about paddle and her experiences with paddle. Now, as I said before, it's a Spanish way of spelling it, because I think that's where it came from. Now, if you want to know about places to go and give it a try around here, I found a really useful thing, which is the paddle directory. So it's literally the paddledirectory.co.uk. And if you put in there your where you are and your postcode, it will tell you where you can get it. So playing paddle in Cambridge, I click on there and it says the Sports Centre and Gym, University of Cambridge, and you don't have to be a member, I don't think. I think you can just turn up and book the courts there. They've got 2 outdoor courts and 7... Oh, no, that's London. That's no use, is it? Let's see if it clicks on... No, that's all it tells you about that. But anyway, that's not very much good, is it? But it does also have other towns and cities in the region. So it says paddle courts in Chatteris, Ely, Manchester, Huntingdon, St Neots. There's some in St Ives. So yeah, basically put in where you live and you'll be able to find some.
You'll find some paddle.
But how have you played paddle ever? I haven't.
I haven't, no. And I did know they had the new courts at David Lloyd, and
we nearly got a chance to play, didn't we?
We randomly happened to be there for something else while they were launching the court.
Yeah, it was the day, wasn't it?
And I believe I had some sort of I'm in heels excuse to not go anywhere near at the time, because and I was rushing wasn't in the right kit for it. But definitely it looked interesting.
Yeah, no, it looks fun. But I haven't had very great experiences with tennis, as in you could hear probably on the thing about people playing with competitive people that hit the ball miles away.
Yeah, it's
and all that.
It's like we were saying with Ellie. It's about the strength that you need for tennis, and actually to have something that maybe could be a little bit easier to get into, and you can still be active. Kind of maybe I feel a bit like with badminton. I find that maybe a bit easier to get into as well.
Yes, exactly. And you can go to places like Centre Parks, and they've got badminton courts, can't you? And then you can just hire them, and you can have a bit of a knock around. Most people can have a go then. I'll bet you that places like Centre Parks will start having paddle courts as well.
I'm sure there is.
Because squash used to be a big thing when I was growing up, like in the 80s, everyone playing squash.
Yeah, I've never played squash.
Oh, I have played squash, but then like they've all disappeared now, and there's hardly anywhere to play squash now.
Well, this is like sort of squash adjacent, isn't it? So I suppose it's something people really like.
The squash was a lot more violent, though. I was saying if you were lucky to get out alive sometimes if you were playing a good squash player, because it whizzed round and it was come straight back at you, whereas this is slightly easier. So I will tell you my story about me learning tennis. This is why I feel like I'm scarred. When we had tennis, we did tennis as one of the things for summer sports at our school, at secondary school, and we all had to line up, and they had this, what was then, and we're talking in the 80s here, it was very like state of the art tennis machine. It's basically a thing that they had sitting on a cardboard box that shot balls out at regular intervals, and we all had to take a line, and if you missed that was your chance to get to the back of the line of the 30, and start again. So I did it so well, I knocked the machine straight off on the floor. The teacher thought I was doing it on purpose, and I didn't get another go.
They thought you had perfect aim.
Exactly. Well, they thought exactly, and it was more of a shock to me than it was to anyone that it'd gone and hit the thing.
Returned it.
I also
think return.
Yeah, thinking about it now, I bet you it was very flimsy. I can't remember how heavy it was. I bet it was just like a flimsy thing, but anyway. So
all the school budget went on that.
Yeah, well, probably did actually. Yeah. Well, we didn't get another one, so it did work again, I think. But but we didn't have necessarily the most supportive PE teachers. I don't know about you growing up, but
I didn't do a huge amount of sport, but I did happen to have a teacher in year 3 who was really into tennis. She really loved tennis, and because Mrs. Barker, because of that.
Is that year 3 secondary school or do you mean
where
primary?
I'm from, it's actually first, middle and high.
Oh, crikey.
So
give us an age then. What age was that?
It's primary, basically.
Okay.
It's the last year of first school for people that have that system, and because of that I did tennis in year 3, but yeah, I was never, obviously I was never the biggest.
So you were like
strongest.
11 then? 12?
9,
okay.
something like that. And we used to go to the courts with my mum and like my mum's friends and all the kids, and when you'd hire the court for like the afternoon for a couple of hours, and you'd have a game, and then maybe we'd go to the park. And so I always had good memories of tennis. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, good. Well,
that's looking at the Padel World Championship, Alex.
We're going in for that, are we?
That we're good at women's sports mix will be in. Since this been played since the early 90s, Argentina, Spain, or Brazil are always in. It's only those countries that have been in the final.
That's
so that
because it started
checks out, doesn't it? That
it started in Spanish-speaking countries, and that's where. So that's where my son plays now. They play twice a week, but they played in Spain and couldn't believe how easy it was.
But maybe
to just
that
go
will
and play
change. I mean, maybe that will change now with so
it.
many people playing it.
Yeah.
Argentina every time apparently. Very big in Argentina.
I mean, there's a lot of people as well, isn't there? Argentina's a big country. I think we'd be competing with a lot of people, but you
never know.
Got to start, and we don't really have the greatest success in racket sports in this country, but we're always. Everyone loves a trier, don't they? And we get some people in, but it's not really widespread. But, this could change with padel, though, because it is an easier thing, and it's probably cheaper to have it at state schools.
Yeah, maybe at one of Ellie's family events, there's going to be a child there. Future padel superstar.
Yeah, exactly. The family Saturday morning, which sounds fun to go along to. I wouldn't like to be coaching it.
Yeah. Shall we have a look at some football,
Alex?
I
think we should.
So Cambridge United women will play Histon Ladies. This is in the County Cup, Cambridgeshire FA Women's Invitation Cup. The final will be on Wednesday, April 30th at the Cambridge City Stadium that we went to in Sawston. Nice. And that's an evening kickoff for that one. And the U's had their last game at their usual home ground in St Neots. That was on Sunday against Sudbury. They do have one more home game that will be played at the Abbey. So they do have that to come. And now we'll hear from Liz Pamplin, who I caught up with earlier. Liz, it was a 3-0 win over Newmarket in the County Cup. Tell us more about this game.
Yeah, really good game. Again, it's a County Cup where we play a mixture of our first team players and our promising under-18s. And so we had that squad out for the Newmarket game, and it was an excellent performance from the girls. The regular first team players were really, took leadership roles and helped the under-18s along in their chance to play adult football. And the under-18s that played have a really good account of themselves, particularly Amelia Reinhardt, who is just 17, and she scored the third goal and had a really lively performance in the second half.
And what were the goals like in that one?
Yeah, really nice. So we kind of dominated the early stages and got a lot of cross balls in. And from the first goal was one of the crosses came in, and Charlotte Gillies managed to control it in the area and tap it in. The second goal was a really good run from one of our new signings, Becca Stevenson, who ran through the middle of the pitch and went round the goalkeeper and scored. And as I said, the third goal was one of our promising under-18s, Amelia, who caused lots of trouble when she came on in the second half and managed to run through and dinked a nice goal towards the start of the second half.
And what are you expecting from Histon Ladies in the final?
A tough game. Histon are a Tier 6 side, but they've been going well in their league this season. We know Histon well, their management we've known for a while, and they've got lots of players who've played in the women's game for a long time, so they'll have experience, and they've also got some good young players. And so we're expecting a tough game. Again, a really good chance for us to use our whole squad and give the under-18s some real quality pitch time, including in a cup final, which are things that you don't get very often as players. So it'll be a really exciting event.
And you played your last game of the season. Well, the last game of a home game at your St Neots ground was on Sunday, the 23rd. And this was a good crowd for you.
Yeah, really good. We managed to get 402 people through the door, which was, and 2 dogs, according to the announcer. So,
brilliant.
Yeah, it was excellent. We put out advertising for the game. What we want to do is make St Neots a real home for us. And getting crowds in is going to be really important. So we went out to the schools and got families and young people in. We had a good team of mascots. Marvin, the moose, was there, and we had food on and we had merchandise. And it was just great to see a really big, lively crowd the people who we want to attract to our games. We want young girls to come in and watch football and want to play themselves. And that was what we had on Sunday. We were really delighted with it.
Well, it was a loss. I mean, there were plenty of goals. It was a 4-2 loss to Sudbury. What was your assessment of the game?
It was one of those games, unfortunately, where we didn't hit the standards that we want to. We had too many individual mistakes to be able to get anything positive out of the game in terms of a result. Our 2 goals were really well worked and taken well by, again, Becca Stevenson, who's our new signing, and she set up the second for Alicia. So our 2 goals were really well worked, but unfortunately we made too many mistakes and let in goals that we shouldn't really have let in. And as a result, we didn't get the result that we were looking for, and we're disappointed with the outcome of the match, really.
So there's 2 more league games to go for the U's. Next up, Queen's Park Rangers away. This is in a couple of weeks, Sunday, April 13th. The home leg of that tie was a 4-0 loss back in November. What are you expecting from them this time?
We hope to compete with them this time. I mean, it sounds bizarre because we lost 4-0, but we competed with them for 60 minutes, and 4-0 was not a really good reflection of how the game went. We go to them. We've got 2 weeks solid of training now to get the plan right for the game. And we go to Loftus Road. And for them, it's a big game because it's in their main stadium. We hope to go and give them a really good game. And we'd love to get a result there. We have the ability to do that. We just need to be more consistent in the performances that we put out.
And looking ahead to the final league game, which is at the Abbey in Cambridge against Chatham Town. This is Sunday the 27th of April. So another great chance to come and see the team in Cambridge.
Yeah, very much so. We would want a really big crowd there that day. It's our final game of the season. We like to play the final game at the Abbey so we can get a really big match day around it. And we do, at the end of the game, we do kind of the end of season awards and things like that. So it's a really big occasion of a match day. We'd love to see people come and support us at the Abbey and go out with a really positive result to end the season before we have a good rest and go again next year.
Thank you, as always, to Liz Pamplin. And if you want to support the U's or Histon ladies in that cup final, that's April 30th at Cambridge City's ground in Sawston, evening kickoff. And the U's will also be at the Abbey, so the main Cambridge United
I think we should go
Stadium.
To that one, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we're just looking at our diaries. So their last game, which is going to be played at the Abbey, is Sunday, April 27th, 2:00 kickoff. Are we
Definitely.
there, Alex?
I'm putting it in my diary now. And if anyone wants to come and join us, I think it'd be brilliant to get as many people as possible down to that match. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Was it the last game of the season we went to last year at the Abbey?
It was the first game of the season, wasn't it?
There was one that we went to.
It was a pre-season. I'm sure it's a pre-season thing because they were still they weren't sure things going on. We didn't. It definitely wasn't.
It was the game at the. I don't.
It was at the Abbey though.
It was at the Abbey.
So maybe it was. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll check back.
Yeah.
So let's look at Cambridge City because they have picked up another 3 points. This was a 1-0 home win against Enfield. And let's have a look at that table. So they're in, it's the Eastern Region Women's Football League, which is what they call the tier that City are in, and they're in the Premier Division. So Royston, Luton and Stevenage, they're probably not really in with a shout of that anymore. Possibly Royston and Luton going for promotion from that league. Cambridge City, as I said, are down in relegation with Needham Market. There's 4 games to go, and I think looking above them, Bowers and Pitsea can be caught. Watford ladies, they have a development team in this league. I would say Enfield, whether they could be, I think, trying to quickly do some maths, I think they can mathematically, but really I'm not expecting them to be drawn into it. So it's really, I think, between these 4 teams, and there's 4 games to go. They do have 3 of those away, which is a bit of a shame. And then the last one against Stevenage
it's a shame
is the last one of the season.
Especially now they've got the new stadium and everything. But it'll be whatever it'll be, and they have got a great news, so they can build on whatever that happens. Really,
and they've really pushed back, haven't they? They've had some good results. They've got what they needed. They got that the draw and the win, and then yes, there was a loss. I think that might have been against Luton. Probably not expecting much from that. So now, last 4 games. Come on, ladies.
Yes, you can do this. We're behind you every step of the way, especially when Herbie's bakes are there.
And Histon ladies did beat Cambridge City in the County Cup semi-final. That was 4-1 to Histon, and it was a 4-1 loss for Histon at the weekend. This was a league game against Harpenden. So Harpenden possibly they're at the top of the league as things stand, possibly looking for promotion. Where the Histon ladies, they've had a really good season. They're currently in 4th in that league. And Cambridge Kodiaks would have been travelling to Peterborough, which we previewed in the previous episode of the Women's Sports Mix. That would have been on the 5th of April. It's been postponed due to the men's playoff games instead, but you can see their B team at the Cambridge Ice Arena this Saturday. That's March the 29th. They're playing against Lee Valley Vampires.
That all sounds very exciting. Now, yes, I mean, everyone's sort of getting to the end of these seasons, aren't they? So some things, that's good news, some maybe not so good,
yeah.
But I always think, well, as I've just said, what will be, and you just have to go forward, really, can't you? That the men have that problem as well, so we'll let them off. One thing I did want to cover when we're talking about football, because I was watching some of the WSL matches last week, or the week before now, and obviously we're going into some of the international games as well. And there's been a lot of talk about how bad the pitches were for the women's.
Pitch, yeah, for was that the League Cup final?
Yeah,
it was at Pride Park, which is Derby's
that's right.
home ground, and you're looking at it thinking
half the grass was missing for a start.
You did a pitch inspection.
Yeah,
the same at the Champions League game that was exactly. Arsenal against Real Madrid. Got through the pitch inspection.
Yeah.
To play that.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. What is their pitch inspection quality? What's their standards? Why should it be any different?
You look at it,
playing?
and you think, what was that? Because it was a women's game.
Yeah.
It was deemed. And it wasn't a professional important game,
especially for that league game I was watching. It did look like a kid's sports field, like when you go down and watch the kids playing, which, again, maybe that shouldn't be. But they're saying that the PFA is saying that the safety of female footballers is being put at risk by these substandard conditions at major matches. So Arsenal were beaten by Real Madrid in that Women's Champions League game you just mentioned. Yeah. But they said it played in dreadful conditions. Oh, well, I'm going to say at least that one was in... It wasn't in the UK, so it's not just the UK problem. It's everywhere. They said it's usually played by their reserves team, but why does that make it? Yeah,
so this is the Real Madrid. They were not at the Bernabeu playing in those conditions. They were at the men's reserves, which just kind of looks like a regular stadium, doesn't it? It's
so they're saying it's uneven surface and large patches of mud and bare turf, which is what you could see just even watching on the television.
Yeah, they were sort of very muddy, sort of schlepping around in that game. I think there'd been lots of rain, so the argument was if you knew the weather was really poor there, then it should have been taken away from that pitch. Yeah. If the pitch isn't good enough, find an alternative. It's not just go on.
They say world-class players deserve world-class standards.
That's a Champions League. What are they at the quarterfinals or something now in the Champions League?
Yeah, I'm not.
I think they're in the quarters. We've still got several of the British teams, the English teams in it.
Yeah. The other one was saying the major incident at the Chelsea and Man City game as well. There's because they don't have permanent homes, a lot of these places. So of course they are at the mercy of whoever's sort of doing the pitch there. This is on. Sports websites.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame about the pitches and that the players had to go out, but then also good that it's now it's news, isn't it? It's headlines. It's and it's not just this fringe women's sports section. Everyone was talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's at least it's highlighting it.
And what they're saying is the managers were saying they weren't trying to criticise the other team that they were playing, but they're just trying to highlight the fact that we shouldn't be putting up with these facilities because they are world-class players, and you're not going to get if you're going to get those in. If they're injured, then that's it, aren't they? They're out then for however long, and then you don't get the people coming to watch them because they said, their best player or whatever is out. So I think they're not asking for much, are they?
No, but it's a safety point, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it needs to be looked at.
Right. So now we're going to move on to the boat race. Quick, swift turn. We've gone from paddles to football now to
we're back to paddling
again. But now the boat race, as I said, is the 13th of April, and tomorrow is the crew announcement. Unfortunately for us, we were hoping we could have announced it on here, but it's tomorrow. It's 5:45 in March the 26th. They're going to announce all the crews,
okay.
men and women, for that. And I think you've got when it's on television.
Yeah, so they televise the women's boat race. I'm sure people have seen it.
Oh, sorry,
on
I
TV.
thought you meant the crew announcement.
Oh, right, no. This is for the. Should I do that now, Alex?
In a moment. Hold that thought a second. Then, I'm assuming that as soon as it's announced tomorrow at 5:45, it'll be all over the news of who's going to be in it. But I was reading about this the other day, which new boat race selection policy, very unfair. Have you heard about this?
Yes, and we had that. I think we had the clip on Cambridge Radio with Imogen Thomas. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So. Yes, exactly. She's saying it's not fair. This new, they've just suddenly changed it. I don't know. It sounds like it's quite recent because people who were rowing to think they were going to get in the team have just been told they're not going to be allowed now.
Yeah, they found out very late. Haven't they?
They're banning PGCE students because they said the qualifications are not degree level. I'm going to say they are post graduate level, so that means they're past degree level. So I don't see how that makes a difference. And then 3 rowers are also ruled out. Sorry, ruled out was what I was trying to say. There's men and women on that one, and then they also said it's Oxford University have raised the objections about the PGC. They were certificates and not degrees. They're still alumni of the university, so I don't see how. And is it because that Cambridge have won for the last few times? I feel like they're all nitpicking at things here, because people have done over years, have done masters and MBAs and everything else. But it says here nothing has changed in the joint grid. PGC students were racing before it's written down. I don't know. I'm just trying to see. It's so close to the boat race. Yeah, it affects. I think it was 1 on the men's team and 2 on the women's team who potentially could have been picked. It's Matt Hayward and Molly Foxwell and Kate Cowley. Yeah. And so they'd have been training really hard as well as alongside their studies. And I'm going to say if they are doing PGC, it's only a year. You're going out doing teaching practice in between all of that. So I feel like some of those things are harder than just doing it while doing it in between lectures or whatever. But I guess it's too late for them to appeal it for this time. Yeah, well, it goes through is it the independent body, is it the boat race, or who've done this into it, and they've made that decision. So yeah, it's hard to see that there would be anything turned around in time for the selection. So watch this space on that one. I think if we do have anything by next time before the boat race, we'll let you know on that one.
Cambridge Radio Women's Sports Mix.
You're listening to the Women's Sports Mix with Amy and Alex.
Yes, we've talked about the boat race, we've talked about football, paddle. We've talked about ice hockey briefly, but now we're going to talk about the thing that's Alex's favourite thing in the entire world. Exactly, gladiators. And she's just told me, she's like, I follow them all on Instagram now. It's only... it's taken me this long to realise that they're all separately on Instagram, and as well as the Gladiators account. Now, I hope that people here are watching Gladiators, because for me, I never watched it as a child. It's really funny. I've obviously leapt forward now. Yeah, I was into it. Yeah, so I never saw it before, really. I don't know. Probably because I'm a bit older, so I was actually not that young. Actually doing I was actually out on a Saturday night. Now I'm like lovely. I can have a nice early evening watching Gladiators, watch all these people work really hard, and then I always discuss, as we've discussed, which things we think we could do. Pretty much I've decided I don't think there's any of them I could do. I keep going, I could have it. Oh, no, I probably couldn't do that. I wouldn't like the edge, the one up, because I'm not great with heights. And also when they fall, sometimes some of them are falling really close to the edge of that net. So I was thinking, there's a big kind of bounce. I thought, even I don't want to fall off a thing and then run round and fall off. Like clip and climb all over again. Yeah, except, well, at least that had a harness. That's why, for the climbing walls, that's the only thing I think, now that we've obviously got a great experience on climbing, that we could do that climbing wall, but I couldn't do it with somebody running up behind me. With Samara. Yeah. And what's the one where they've started sprinting round now? That's Unleashed. That is Unleashed. Yeah. I don't ever remember the names half the time. I mean, Alex, I know Jewel. I've got some something I think they should be doing on Unleashed. What's that? Okay. Dogs, wild dogs. You know how it would be chased by a dog. So you know how when they're running around, they get to the steps and they go one at a time, and the gladiators tend to get them on the steps. Yeah, if they haven't got them before, yeah. What do you think about this? Go up the steps backwards. What, the gladiators? No, contestant. Go up the steps backwards.
Alex?
Yeah.
Can't get your harness. Yes, you'll have to practice.
Yes,
there's
that
jeopardy.
Now,
go upstairs
we
backwards.
have to check the rules.
If it's not written down, this is like a boat race. If it's not written down,
exactly. Apparently it doesn't exist. Now that would work because they've been penalised for going 2 steps at a time, which is they look like they're quite small.
Yeah,
not
you
for
can
me,
take your
probably.
time. Do a bit of practicing on the stairs at home.
Yeah, run backwards.
I think you've got a helmet on.
The things
backwards.
Because this is if anyone hasn't watched this, what happens is they run around a running track. Also, I'm going to say the flaw in that for anyone doing it is they usually got like an Olympic sprinter running behind them.
Yeah,
which is really mean.
The actual runners,
and they're like, oh yes, well I do the whatever it is in the 100 meters. I do it in 9 seconds, and you're thinking that person hasn't got a chance, have they really? And they're sprinting really hard, and they can't see who's behind them. And it's as it is, isn't it? Of course, unleash the gladiator.
There was one contestant that completed it. I shouldn't laugh. And then they they did it, and then they jumped, and they didn't grab the flag.
I saw that, and they got penalised.
Alex, I cackled.
So did I. Because it was a man as well. Not being funny, but he was really cocky. He was showboating, wasn't he?
So gutted.
That always comes down to showboating.
So
never always doesn't always pay off.
No.
But so the running up the stairs 2 at a time, I think that's a bit mean because they've set them so they're really hard. So guaranteed they're nearly always caught by that point.
Do, yeah.
And that running through the wall is mean because they always foot trip on that bit. And then the gladiator obviously is already got the hole so they can just run through. It's very much weighted towards the gladiators. Have you noticed as it's getting towards its semi-finals this week, have you noticed, or they're not doing one this week. 4th of April's the next. 4th of April's the next one. And so the final will be whenever after that. Don't worry, we will be talking about it. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. There was something they've got harder. They've got meaner. The gladiators as the series.
They've got sassy. I think the producers have said, it's cool to all be in it together, but we want a bit of sass on a Saturday.
Yeah. So they need a bit of challenge. Like they can't let everyone go through. Although some of them, they pretty much pick them up and throw them out. When I kind of think, I wouldn't want to be. They must get covered in bruises, mustn't they?
Yeah. Oh, they're all giving it everything, aren't they?
So who's your favourite?
From the gladiators?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
You can go old school as well if you like.
I did like Rhino, and I liked Jet. Scorpio.
Yes.
Because I'm a Scorpio star sign.
Obviously, yeah.
And
your stars are aligned.
I think I liked Falcon as well. She had a funny haircut. I think she might have passed away last year.
Oh,
Falcon.
dear. Okay.
And in this series,
but Jet was the one that everybody liked. Wasn't it?
Jet. And in this series,
Wolf,
I like Cyclone. Okay, listeners can't see this, but I'm doing the Cyclone.
Oh yeah.
Swizzy finger.
I also noticed that it said that she speaks German, and I think she may be.
And she's got an American accent, but it's not full on American.
Because sometimes she doesn't really say a lot, and I think maybe it's because she's actually trying to work out what everyone's trying to say. But she does her move. Yeah, you like her move, and you spin round, and she spins round.
She's
and
mean.
When she runs in, she spins round as well.
Oh yeah,
but I think I could do that and fall straight over.
Yeah,
but so I still like Sabre, although she's beginning to annoy me a bit because she's a bit too full of herself. But I guess if you've got to be a gladiator, you've got to be full of yourself. I like Fire.
Yes.
Who is the Olympic runner? Because I've seen her on Strictly as well.
Oh, yes.
So I know she's
I don't watch Strictly.
Woman of many talents. And I also like Fury.
Yes,
and
I like
she's
Fury
a rugby
too.
player as well. And I've started following her on Instagram as her separate account, and you get to see all her playing rugby as well. And it's really interesting to see, because I always forget when you see them as gladiators, you forget that's what they're doing there.
But they've actually got things they do.
They are sports people in their own right.
I like Apollo too. He played NFL, which I watch a lot of American football.
He looks like he would. He's very, very tall and wide, isn't he?
Big and like substantial.
But he's not. He's all muscle. He's like a big solid brick.
Yeah.
Oh, the new one, Hammer. He's quite. I quite like him.
The hammer looks kind of like a toy they got from the toy shop.
It looks like it's been made out of polystyrene. I reckon I could swing that hammer around quite easily.
And he doesn't really do it. He sort of like stabs it. I don't know what he's doing.
I feel like they've gone like, you have to have that because you look like Thor, because he does.
Yeah, but we can't use the name Thor.
Yeah, so we have to call you Hammer, and then you have to. Your move will be wheeling a polystyrene hammer around.
You need to come in for Giant because Giant's injured. So come on, what can we do?
Oh, of course. He got injured a few weeks ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
He pulled a muscle in his leg or something.
Yeah,
Or
some sort of injury.
But it's like that. He fell off something and then landed really funny, didn't he?
Did he? I don't know. Was it in power? But I can't remember.
Yeah. I quite like that Powerball one. It looks very uncomfortable though. It looks fun to watch, but I bet it really hurts.
That's one of the old games.
They're going around like hamsters. Yeah.
Oh no, that's that's Atlas Spheres.
Oh, hang on. What's Powerball? Oh, Powerball's when they run
the one
across.
Where there's 5 things, and you score by putting the ball in the little wobbly thing.
Yeah, so that's a bit like if you're good at rugby, I reckon you're good at those sort of ones. So you definitely get different contestants. By the way, if you are, we're about to run out of time, just realised we're having so much fun. We will be back in 2 weeks' time on April the 8th. Thank you very much for listening today. Where will you find us?
You can find us on Instagram, women's_sportsmix, and on Cambridge Radio, Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
Bye.